Hi everyone, this is Joe. Welcome to this Blitz chess post-mortem video. This is a post-mortem of my Blitz chess game number 30, where I played e4 and my opponent selected the Caro-Kann defense. So the Caro-Kann is characterized by this move c6. You can see it's one of the top four choices here. The only moves more popular are the Sicilian, the e5, the sort of classical response, and e6, the French defense. So we follow the normal lines, d4, just taking more space in the center, and d5, which was the idea of c6, was to support d5. And now white has a couple of major choices. The classical line, the old main line, I guess, knight c3 is still widely played. Generally leads to an exchange here, and it's got its own set of complications. You can also play knight d2 if you want to play the knight here. And after an exchange, it leads to the same kind of variation. You can take right away, e takes d5, and then play c4. That's called the Panov-Botvinnik attack. Or you can play e5 here. That's the advanced variation. And black plays bishop f5, and that's the main idea, is to get the bishop outside the pawn chain. I develop normally, and he plays e6. So at this point, it starts to look a lot like a French defense, except the bishop has managed to transport itself outside this pawn chain here. And but there's a cost, and you'll see that when black plays c5, which is a normal breakthrough move for black in this opening as well as in the French defense, he's wasted a move because the pawn had to go from here to here to here. So it took him two moves to get there instead of one move like it would in the French defense. But on the flip side, he did get his bishop outside the pawn chain. So pluses and minuses. It is a very solid defense, but you do have to be careful at sometimes because you're a little bit behind in development. Now, I thought c3 was the normal move here, but it looks like bishop e3 is the most common move, and then castles, just sort of ignoring the threat to the pawn. He can take it, but it's just an exchange. But I thought the main idea was to try and support the center here. So he goes with knight c6, logically attacking the center, and now I castle. And during the game, I was a little bit worried that maybe castling was not the right idea, because after queen d6, it's a little bit awkward for me. I can't move the bishop without losing that pawn, and I can't move the knight. Well, I could move the knight out to here, but if I move the knight to d2, which is where I'd been planning, it blocks the support of the queen of this pawn, and this pawn is hanging. So I had to think for a little bit, but it turns out that d takes c5 is an okay move. And let's go. We're pretty much out of the opening book at this point. And the reason it's okay is because after the bishop takes back, I get another tempo by threatening to bring the knight to b3 and hitting the bishop. Now, black logically starts ganging up on my e-pawn, which can become weak in the Caro-Kann after this trade has happened especially. And he might consider playing f6 at some point too to undermine it. But I can gain a tempo by attacking the bishop, and then I can bring my bishop to f4. And already this is a bit of an uncomfortable position for black. And so what's going on is there's actually two threats here. One is I'm going to bring the bishop to this square here and threaten to trade off. I'm going to bring my knight. I'm going to bring my knight to this square and threaten to trade off his bishop, and that would leave this pawn undefended if the pawn takes it back. Pawn takes bishop. So that's a threat. And the second thing that's going on is after I go here and he trades, which he probably will do, because if he doesn't trade, then I can pin the knight. I have this queen a4 check, and so the computer recommends playing a6 right away to prepare to defend against this queen a4 check idea, and you'll see the problem. He plays h6, which is also a logical move in the Caro-Kann because it gives the bishop a square to retreat to when it gets attacked. But in this case, it's just a little bit too slow. So I play knight bd4, and if he doesn't take this knight, I'm going to come out here with the bishop or the queen and just increase the pressure on the knight. So he trades. I take back. And now both those threats are operating. I'm threatening to take the bishop, and I'm threatening to bring my queen here check. And so it's pretty instructive to see if he just retreats the bishop here, for example, is a new variation, and I play this check, his queen can't block the check. It can't go to these two squares because they're guarded by the knight. And if it goes to this square, do you see the problem here? Give you a few seconds to think about it. If you want time to think about it, pause the video. But here I'm going to show you the answer. It's a very important tactic, bishop to b5, pinning the queen, and that just wins because the queen has no defense. Can't move away. It's pinned against the king. So pin and win. So in this position, after queen a4 check, he's got to move the king, and that will just slow down his development even more. He loses the castling privilege. So this is good for white. And so the move he played, a6, prevents that because now he can block the queen check with b5. But then I get to win a pawn this way. So after this, I just have an advantage. And it gradually increases during the game. I'm not playing the most precise moves. It's funny how you look at this with a computer and it finds lots of other good ideas, but these have been good enough. I'm trying to keep up the pressure by attacking his pawns. And e6. Yeah, I think the computer said, okay, I have to move the queen here. The computer said after bishop c5 I should just push e6 right away. So by delaying that a move and securing my bishop, it's just not as strong, I guess. But it did displace his king, and it allows me to develop another piece with a check. So this is all pretty good for white at this point, and the computer gives white a strong advantage. Oh, and here's another example. The computer wanted me to play this move b5 right away. When did he first bring that bishop out there? Yeah, there. I guess it was here. After this move, queen b6, where he's lining up on my f2 pawn, the computer wanted me to play b4 right away, kicking that bishop, and it has nowhere to go on this diagonal, and it would be forced to go to this square. I do eventually play b4, but by that time, I guess, even here it looks like it's still a pretty good move. But maybe he didn't have to allow me, maybe he had time to move his knight out of the way or something. Anyway, I just thought that was interesting. I eventually came up with that idea of kicking the bishop off that diagonal, because I was getting tired of defending the f2 pawn there. It was getting to be annoying. So, but then I get all my pieces into the game, and we're coming up on an interesting tactic that I missed here. So I was threatening to check down here, and he defends with the rook. And now the knight goes here, and I bring my queen in, trying to just increase the pressure here and keep him tied down. And in this position here, yeah, he attacks my bishop, and I just moved the bishop, and I lose this c3 pawn. But there is a really excellent move here that white has, taking advantage of his position, the active position of his pieces, I should say. So take a few seconds and think about this one. White's turn to move, and pretty much a winning move here for white. Okay, I'm going to tell you, if you want more time to think, pause the video. The move is queen to f6 check, new variation. So the king is in check, and he can't interpose because the bishop is covering that square. And the bishop covers this whole diagonal, so if anything interposes, it's just checkmate. So the only move is king here, and then the rook is just hanging, so you just win a whole rook there, and you still have tremendous pressure. So this would have been a way to put the game away much quicker. The game went on for quite a while. I retreated the bishop, he grabbed the pawn, and now the material's actually even, but white still has the advantage because of the awkward position of black's king here, and I can continue to make threats. So, my rook was under attack. I'm sorry, cancel that. my rook was under attack from the queen, so I move it here where it's defended by the bishop, but also it's threatening to come in here, and that would be checkmate. So he has to hurry back and defend, and then I give my king a little lift here to make it safe, because I was thinking of bringing my rook up, and then I realized I'd be leaving myself vulnerable to a back rank mate. So I lift my rook, he brings down his queen down to deliver check, and starts trying to get some counterplay, which is a logical way to proceed when you're behind. You want to try and confuse the issue, expose your opponent's king, try and get some attack going. And I did miss this whole idea. I was checking to see if the queen could attack along this diagonal, but it can attack from behind. And so I did. My king does get kind of forced out in the open, but fortunately it's still safe here. His pieces are tied down defending his king. The rook can't get into the game, and the queen can't deliver another check. So I'm now still trying to get my rook to the back rank to deliver this mate here. And he defends. And then here, I could have played this move. I discover later. I discovered this a move later. There's this nice move, queen to e5, which carries this double threat of attacking the rook and threatening to bring my rook down here with check and winning the queen. So I didn't see it at this point, but as I was looking at the position here, I noticed that was a good move, and I played it. And now there's just no defense. It's kind of funny with how open the position is and how there are checks and things the queen can move. But the knight is tied down because it's pinned. If the rook moves, then my rook to b8 ideas wins the queen, because the rook has it can move out of the way of being taken, but it has no threats that it can make. Can't check me or attack my queen. So the only option really are queen moves, and he tried the queen move, queen g4 check, trying to escape this with check. I'll show that. One other idea, which I thought of after the game, is he could have tried queen a6. And this looks pretty good at first. This pins the rook, so I can't I can't play this rook check here. The rook can't move. And also, if I take his rook, he takes my rook with check. But there is a defense, or there is a way for white to continue the attack, and that's with this move, bishop c4. So this is a nice idea. And now there's a double threat again. The queen is still threatening to attack this rook. This rook is defended by the bishop, and if the rook moves away, then I have the move. So, for example, the rook goes here. I have the move rook to b8 check, and that's a discovered attack on the queen. So if the king moves, then I can just grab the queen. So there was no defense at this point after the move queen e5. He tried queen g4 check, and I played the move f3, and then there's just no more checks, and the queen is hanging, the rook is hanging, so he resigned. So anyway, pretty good game. It's interesting how you can get into trouble in the openings. If you have one of these openings that involves kind of a slow development, you have to play them pretty precisely and know them well. So even the Caro-Kann, which has a reputation of being quite solid, you have to watch your step. Okay, hopes you enjoyed that, and if you have any comments, leave them in the section below, and I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.